Hello and warm welcome to the universe of SAP BTP in a nutshell. I am Tanya Dinda from the Global User Groups organization. And with this, I would like to hand over to my colleague, Toros Alijan, for the moderation of this session. Over to you, Toros.
Thank you so much, Tanya. Welcome, everyone. My name is Toros Alijan. Thank you so much for joining us in our episode 1 of the Universe of SAP Business Technology Platform in a nutshell. We have a great series lined up for you today. We've got 19 episodes in the coming months, starting today, obviously, January 24th, and running until June the 20th. You'll be able to find the link when you come back to the YouTube channel. You'll be able to find the link to be able to hear this recording. Again, I'd like to introduce our colleague, Arne Speck, Product Manager for SAP Business Technology Platform at SAP Switzerland. He'll be covering the SAP Business Technology Platform overview. Before we get started, I just want to also let you guys know, if you want to get in touch with either Arne, Tanya, or myself, our contact information is here. I will be posting that in the chat as we move forward in the presentation. Before we get started, I also want to let you guys know there's a couple of companion webinars that are also part of the Universe of SAP BTP in a Nutshell series. On February the 8th through the 22nd, we have 3 episodes focusing on how to leverage SAP Build low-code app development and automation. So this is a deeper dive than what we're going to be covering in the BTP in a Nutshell series. Following that, we have a second companion series starting on February the 9th, running through March the 23rd. That'll be a 7-episode deep dive companion series. It's entitled From No Code to Pro Code, the right solution for everyone. I'll be making the links available to you guys as we move forward. And then finally, we have started doing some on-site events. Our next on-site event will be on March the 14th. If you're in the Madrid area, or you're interested in coming to Madrid on that date, you can have a one-day on-site event, meeting up with all of the SAP and partner topic experts. This on-site event will be done in Spanish, but we have several others in the planning stage for the month of March as well as April. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Arne to take it away. Arne?
So thank you so much, Thomas. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak again and do the introduction again for this series in 2023. So today, this is really the kickoff of this long series with all that interesting topics and all the possibilities that BTP is offering you. So today, we really want to have an overview session. I think a lot of the participants will have at least first experience with BTP maybe, but today we really would like, or I would really like to give you an overview about all the different capabilities, why we're having it, what you can do with it. And then you will have the possibility in the deeper sessions in the following week to really focus on the area, on the most interesting areas for you personally, to deep dive into the topics that are most interesting to you. So with this, what will you see today? So first of all, it's really about why caring about a platform like BTP, and why is it also important in the overall strategy of SAP. And then we're really focusing on the areas that we are covering with our BTP solution. And in the last piece, I'm going to talk about a little how you can start already today, even if your company might not have a contract to date. What can you do to start? Where do you find information to just have a look into the offering that we're giving you with BTP? So why is it important? I think it's very interesting if you look at some of the analysts looking at the market and also comparing different companies, that it is very, very obvious that you can see a relation between companies that have a strong technology platform in place that they are able to quickly adapt to changing demands. Like, I mean, it became very obvious during the pandemic, for example, how companies were able in leveraging platform technology to actually adapt to this new situation with new processes, being able to support their employees as well as their customers, for example, with new ways of working and new processes, and being able to adapt quickly to new and changing challenges gives opportunities on the one hand side, of course, but on the other hand side, it is really key today to have the possibility and the platform in place to really adjust to changing needs. And the speed then to really grow and be more effective and successful on the one hand side. But we also see that if we look at some softer KPIs, like what about customer satisfaction, brand perception, and talent management? I mean, innovation and the possibility to adapt to changes, that also gives better ratings in things like where do your employees want to work. So looking at the strategy and of companies today, I think it is really crucial to have a look at that from a growth perspective, but also from a brand perspective, perception perspective, customer satisfaction perspective. Again, think about pandemic. If you were able to adapt to your business model to better support your customers during this new situation, of course, customers were really happy with this. And so change and fast change is something that is definitely something that we're looking into. And change means, if we look at enterprises, of course, change to the business processes, right? And it means to get in innovative technologies, for example, to get a higher automation of the processes. And it's not only about technology. I mean, there are so many new technologies that have a huge potential to be used. Nevertheless, if you really want to use such a technology in an enterprise fashion, you definitely have to focus on the business, meaning that it is really important to not just start at zero with a completely new technology, but have actually the possibility to have something pre-thought, helping really business processes working together with the applications and the systems that you already have in place to actually make those technologies consumable to really come to greater business outcome. And this is exactly what we are striving for with the Business Technology Platform. So let's do a short reality check. What does that mean today if we look at business processes, and how do we, or can we adapt, change? How does a technology platform maybe help? And let's have a look at a little bit the situation today that we're seeing, and looking at one huge end-to-end process with the lead to cash process, which nearly every company in some or the other way has to fulfill. So it starts, of course, with attracting my customers. Then at some point in time, I create an offer. Maybe I sell the solution or the service. Then I have the phase where I actually really have to fulfill this contract. And of course, I want to also collect the money afterwards. So just looking at the applications SAP has in its portfolio to support these processes, and it's only SAP, we see that there are a lot of different areas, line of businesses, specific applications involved here to really come to an overall end-to-end picture of that process. And I mean, we know exactly most of our customers do not have all of these different solutions. They have some of it, might be SAP solutions, there might be third-party solutions, there might be things that have been built by our customers themselves. Nevertheless, in the end, we're talking about a streamlined process and the way also on how flexible we can adjust this process, we can extend it. And one point is, for example, the integration. Now, quite obvious when we just look at the picture and the applications, if we talk about process-related, typical application-to-application integration, that's not the overall story, right? Because in the end, integration is much more. So think about the user experience, for example. If you're a user of such a process working in silos with different applications, having your tasks in different applications inboxes. We also want to integrate, of course, the user to have a streamlined experience. Think about data, right? All these different solutions need to work with master data on the one hand side, but on the other hand side, they are also generating data. And if you want to analyze your processes, or if you plan on the data that you're collecting over the overall process, you need to align and bring the data of the different applications together. So you need to have a clear data strategy or data integration strategy, right? And very important, as I said before, it's not only SAP data, SAP applications that we're talking about. It's of course also additional applications that might be part of the process, industry-related applications, for example, created by partners, or completely different other solutions from third parties, not SAP, be it competitors or even completely separated companies that we're seeing here. So integration is one piece where actually a central platform can really offer a huge help to run those processes much easier and more integrated. The second thing then is, what about automation of this? So there are so many media breaks here in between the applications. How is information exchanged? Do we have points where we have to integrate data in a manual fashion? Do we have processes that span across different applications being part of the overall process? So the question is, where do we run those automations? How can we support process-related automations? So for example, workflows spanning across several of the applications being part of the process. Or how can I automate manual processes or manual tasks, let's say, right? So we could use, for example, robots to automate those tasks. So also automation really brings us more close to a fully integrated and to the most extent automated process. And then there is the individualization, especially in the lead to cash process. We often see huge differentiations between the different companies, right? I mean, this is the core of many companies' business. So the question is, how can we create and differentiate from our competition while at the same time running as much on standard processes and standard applications as we can to be cost efficient? So it's about bringing together our own practices and our own developments that differentiate us from our competition and bring it together and harmonize it with the standard software that is delivered by application vendors like SAP, where you really have best practices in the applications that support those processes. And then, last but not least, SAP is always talking about an intelligent, sustainable enterprise. So this is the core of SAP's strategy. And we have this intelligence in there. So yes, we all see huge potential in leveraging artificial intelligence inside business processes. But if you look at the picture and say, okay, we have different applications, and in each and every of those areas, we will find points where artificial intelligence might add a huge benefit to that. But how do you want to operate that? Do you want to operate artificial intelligence scenarios separately for each and every application that you're having? How do you then do all the training of the models, retraining, regeneration of models? So really being able to centrally operate all the artificial intelligence scenarios across the overall process, that might be something where a platform can really offer a huge benefit. And basically looking at those things, that is exactly what we are trying to achieve with the Business Technology Platform. Helping you create streamlined, fully integrated, highly automated processes that span across the applications, as well as your own created applications and developments that you're having, and giving you, of course, the opportunity to create and run these differentiations that you're having. So this is the picture of what SAP then actually does internally to leverage the platform to help you get the benefits for its own application portfolio. So what you're seeing here is the Cloud ERP, which is our main solution with S4. Then, of course, we have the different application areas like human capital management, spend management, business networks, customer relationship management. And of course, we see all those applications surrounding from the ecosystem, as well as industry-specific content delivered by SAP or by its partners. And whenever we're talking about this application portfolio, SAP clearly said we need to align a lot of technology-related topics between our application portfolio that we are offering to our customers, which make it much easier to come to such integrated and automated processes. And so there are clear guidelines for our internal development teams, which technologies have to be supported in which ways. And the technologies that are required to operate this, these are also delivered by the Business Technology Platform. Let me give you an example here. Let's talk the first one, seamless user experience. You all might know that SAP has clear guidance for all of its applications that they have to use the Fiori design principles. And now talking about integration of users, and I was referring to it before, it's not only this, it's also that we say we need to have this central point where I can work, no matter which applications are in place at my company. So we need to have a central entry point. And so the technology is going to be delivered on BTP. We want to have all the different tasks that come out on the one hand side of the applications that we are having, and on the other hand side, also on the things that we're building by ourselves. They should be in a central place for the user to have a seamless user experience, not having to care which application this task is coming from, rather than focusing really sorry, on the tasks that you have to do from a business perspective. Consistent security and identity management. So all our applications have to support the way on what Business Technology Platform, SAP Business Technology Platform is offering and leveraging the services it is offering. Then we were mentioning things like master data. So what we did is we said, okay, we need to have with the one domain model, we need to have an aligned understanding how different business objects look like between the different applications to make it much easier to distribute and work with the different master data objects across the overall application portfolio. And on the one hand side, yes, it's the definition of this one domain model. But on the other hand side, it requires also technology to distribute and integrate the master data objects between the different solutions. And guess what? Yes, the master data integration service is delivered as service on Business Technology Platform. Another good example, analytics. So if I go into applications, normally every application has a certain amount of analytic capabilities. Now, does that mean for a user that they have always to adopt different approaches, different tools to do analytics? No, also here it's the idea that we say we have a very strong analytical solution, which is our analytics cloud running on Business Technology Platform. And we're not only offering this as a cross-application analytics toolbox. No, we're using the same technology also for the embedded analytical tasks. So it's the same technology if you're doing analytics on a broader scope or inside a single application that we are delivering. And now, if we want to come to integrated and automated processes, it's always about pre-thinking which parts should work together in which form, which means on the one hand side that we can deliver business blueprints, process blueprints that already include the necessary assets to create this integrated process. So for example, integration, content between the different pieces of SAP, but also with external solutions like integrating government systems that you require to do tax reporting, for example, or also different third-party systems on the one hand side. And then on the other hand side, this allows us also to coordinate the lifecycle management between the different applications. And again, the technology that you're using in the end is delivered by Business Technology Platform. And more than this, for every new development that we're having inside SAP, the Business Technology Platform is also the core technology to develop the solutions upon. So that was a little bit a look at how SAP is leveraging the Business Technology Platform internally. And of course, if you're creating your own things on top of your processes, on top of the standard applications, it definitely makes sense to give you the possibility to leverage the same technologies to do so. And this is exactly what we are going to talk about today. What we did is actually we created 5 different pillars or clusters on how we actually cluster the different capabilities of the platform, which is application development for all the differentiating pieces, automation, integration, the topic of data and how to analyze and plan on this data, and how to infuse intelligence into your processes in the AI area. With this, and I mean, we're not new, right? It's really there for a long time, and we see really great results that our customers have been achieving. And I want to give you, in particular, one example, which is from Germany as a country. You see here, it says Free and Hanseatic City of Hamburg. Actually, let me explain you a little bit the details behind. So during the COVID pandemic, it was some industries were really heavily hit by the pandemic, which is especially true for the cultural workers. So all the events that have not been able to take place, theaters, movies have to be closed and so on. So the German government actually decided that they need to support those workers in the cultural area. And so they said, okay, we're going to have a fund at about 2.5 billion euros that should be available to support those organizations inside the cultural sector. And the challenge was that, I mean, the pandemic was there and people had no income. So it was very, very urgent to get this money to the people. So the German government actually gave then this whole project to the city of Hamburg to create a solution for complete Germany, to create a platform where applicants have the possibility to give some information about what their income loss was, and then to receive some money. And basically, they were coming to us and said, we need to have something really, really urgent. And what actually we did, so it was the SAP consulting organization here mainly. There was also another partner involved, which was already before working together with the city of Hamburg. We created an application within 3 weeks that actually covered the scenario, so the possibility to apply for some money, to give documents that prove that you are actually allowed to get this money, and also to report then back with Analytics Cloud, some things like regional coverage, where have been the most applicants from, and so on. And in the end, we really had a fully digital end-to-end process. There was no paper-based processing. We even used artificial intelligence to go through the documents. And if you look at the numbers here, this is just numbers for the first 6 weeks of the application. So there were 47,000 applications covering more than 1 million events that were behind these applications. And they included more than 160,000 documents. And so what we did during this first 6 weeks, these documents were really evaluated, classified, and then there was a decision if those applicants really were able to receive some money. Keep the scenario in mind, because I will give you a little bit more insight later on the components that actually have been used to create the solution and the general architecture behind. So now let's have a look into the solution areas as such. So there are those 5 areas, as said before. Let's start with application development. So the main focus that we are seeing here is actually on getting rid of the development backlog. So our customers tell us we have more and more requests for development, and we are not able to do that. So how do we do that? First, it's really that we try to give every developer or new developer the right tools to achieve what he can do. So no matter which skill level he has, which means also often, getting new developers on board, leveraging new developer resources like key users, for example, and enable them to do a lot of things by themselves without the need for a classical developer. And then on the other hand side, as we are talking about business applications, often the extension of processes or of those applications, we are really close on a lot of those applications here. So we're really focusing how to make it easy to create applications specifically supporting business processes, and often then also with SAP applications, of course. So also the possibility to reuse a lot of pre-built components specifically targeting those business processes. So what is the approach here? So on the one hand side, as said before, a major strategy to address this growing development backlog is focusing on tools that enable new developer groups to do certain things. So it's really on the low code or no code area. On the BTP, we're having the so-called SAP Build Apps, which was formerly called AppGyver, which is a complete no-code based solution to create full enterprise applications. For the specific task when it comes to do process automations or task automations, so with robots, for example, we have our build process automation project also supporting a complete no-code environment here. And then whenever we talk about really the presentation, so as I said before, the entry into the processes, with SAP Build Work Zone, we offer the possibilities to have like an application launcher with a launchpad or a complete digital workplace for the employee. And now looking at the pro code area, so the classical developer, we're really looking, we have to do a little bit like looking into the history of SAP, of course, and what we're seeing at our customers. And on the other hand side, of course, we want to see on where are the developers we're seeing today. So of course, if you look at the history of SAP with the main applications, ERP, S4 being based on ABAP, we need to support the typical SAP developer, the ABAP developer. So on BTP, we have with the ABAP environment, the possibility to create ABAP applications to develop in an ABAP environment. On the other hand side, we're not restricted to that. As said, we want to also, of course, address the huge developer community that is there besides ABAP. So we're really focusing also on latest development technologies, like offering the possibility to have cloud native development, maybe in combination with a very modern Kubernetes-based runtime, right? And again, and that's very important, when we talk about the tooling, we have a central IDE that then supports exactly the cases to do business processes or business applications extensions. So really offering the tools, the frameworks that help developers getting something meaningful very, very fast out of it with this specific purpose. Why is that very important? So if you look at the move in business applications from on-premise systems to cloud, it gets very obvious that the typical way on how we were extending the capabilities of an application in the former times, so for example, for ERP or for an on-premise S4 system, is not working in the cloud any longer. Because actually, before we just coded our changes or our differentiations into the application, which had some consequences because then we definitely had a lot of testing effort before we were actually able to go to the latest version. Now in cloud times, this is not possible because as a customer, I am not able to decide when I move to which version. So in the cloud, it is not possible to do that kind of in-application extensions. And so it becomes more and more obvious that either if you're on-prem, but still want to have a modern application with the latest version supporting the latest features delivered by the software vendor like SAP, or if you're going to the cloud, you will have to find ways on how you extend your applications in different ways. So leveraging a side-by-side platform to create either complete separated applications on this platform, or what we often also see is hybrid extensions. So having at least parts inside the app, not harming, of course, the upgradability, so not harming the core application. And then the main functionality being developed on a side-by-side platform. And this is exactly where we are striving for with SAP BTP, to give you the possibility to leverage the technologies on the one hand side, but on the other hand side, also get a new or a lot new more business opportunities, like reaching groups that you would have not let access your backend applications directly in the past, or having a separated life cycle from the business application that you're running, because you're having it decoupled from the application that is underneath, right? So there is a lot opportunity here to leverage a platform like BTP for business reasons and for technology reasons, and specifically with SAP BTP focusing on exactly this approach to extend the scope, work together with the business applications to do your differentiations. This offers you a great possibility to be much faster. And this was the second point that we had beside addressing new developers, much faster and more flexible in the process of developing your differentiations here. So just a short picture on what the offering actually is that we're having with BTP. So for the consumption, I said with SAP Build Work Zone, we have the possibility to really have, from application launcher to a complete digital workplace, the possibility to provide an entry into the processes. Then we have the low-code portfolio with SAP Build Apps. And we have our main development environment with the Business Application Studio, being able to create cloud-native applications. You have the possibility to choose between a Cloud Foundry stack or a Kubernetes-based stack with our Kima environment. In both cases, and that is really interesting, you have the possibility to use this cloud application programming model, which actually leverages the different parts of the business technology platform, but includes also the capabilities of the business applications of SAP, which really, and this is the feedback that we're getting from our customers and partners, really helps to bring down the development effort of 40 to 60%. This is exactly what was used to create the application for this COVID-19 aid application that I was referring to earlier. Now coming to the automation. In the automation area, and I was already mentioning it, the main solution that we're having here is build process automation. And we see a lot of different use cases here to use this application. So we see a lot of cases where you need to collect data from different systems. We need a lot, and we want to automate this data collection. We want to have automated the things like getting information, having to work with a lot of emails, maybe even postal messages, whatever, automating the effort to integrate that into the solutions. A lot of cross-application approvals that we're seeing here. Maybe some smaller extensions to the standard processes as we see it in the process applications. And also often getting insights into the execution of certain processes. So having an overview about all the different instances, if they're in danger to not meet any KPIs, and directly take actions when something like this is, for example, seen. So build process automation, what's in there? There is the possibility to use this no-code tooling to create process automations, simple workflows up to advanced workflows, leveraging business rules to steer on the one hand side the processes, but on the other hand side also to calculate, validate something. We have this RPA, so robotic process automation component, where you can where you really have the possibility to automate human tasks, that you can record what somebody is doing and looking through emails, receiving it, getting the information into some business systems, and then automating it via a robot that then does the work for the employees. We can directly integrate the things that we're seeing in our AI portfolio we have on the platform. And we have this process visibility concept or a component to have a closer look into the system here. So mainly, also here we have this no-code studio where we have the process builder as main component. We have a forms generator. We have a specific process workspace for our build work zone components. So as I said, if you want to have really this entry point here, it's of course also the entry point for all those automations. We're using the central inbox where we collect all the different tasks coming also out of the applications with Task Center. And then we have the different capabilities underneath. And now we're coming to integration as the third capability here. So here, as I said before, it's really about having a holistic view on integration pieces. So it's not any longer the just classical application to application integration. We see hybrid landscapes. So there are a lot of companies that still have a lot of on-premise solutions combined with a lot of new cloud-based solutions. So we have to look at how do we integrate that, all those solutions in a single approach. We're not talking only about the application to application. It's also like business to business, and how can we accelerate also business to business integration, for example, by leveraging artificial intelligence and offering a component that helps you generating all the necessary integration assets that you need to really come to an integration with your business partners, and then also with trading partner management, the possibility really to maintain the relation to the integration partners here. We have, as part of the portfolio, the master data integration piece. I mentioned that before, how our solutions internally align the master data when you combine them to bigger processes. But it's also about data integration topics, ETL, ELT tools that we're offering with the platform. It's focusing on new integration styles. I mean, API management is not really new, but of course, we're supporting the API management discipline here. And also more and more, we see the usage of event-based integration. So as you might know, our business applications are now event-enabled, so they are raising events. And the BTP, again, is the platform that actually consumes and manages the events that are given by the business applications. And so you can subscribe and then take actions on when something has happened. So mainly the main functionalities that we're having or seeing here is on the one hand side, the integration suite, taking care on A2A, B2B, API management, to a certain extent, eventing. And on the other hand side, for customers that have specific requirements, like really masses of events, need to have a federated event mesh, we have the SAP Integration Suite Advanced Event Mesh, which then offers those additional components here. And here, if we talk about integration, it's really it's a broad and very well rated integration suite from a technology perspective. But what is really special and outstanding is the integration content. So you see it here on the top. We have all the different integration content for a lot of processes, but also for a lot of governments that where you have requirements in the different countries, to a lot of third-party tools. So you see here we have more than 2,400 pre-built integration packages, not only to SAP. So you see here it's also things like Salesforce. You see the different countries for document compliance. You have a lot of different capabilities here, or packages that make it much easier and much faster to integrate with it. And it's not only the deployment phase where you get a lot of benefits out of that, it's also in the operations, because if you imagine, for example, that one of the countries is changing the requirements or the interfaces, you get really maintained and supported content, so you do not have to care for those things. It's directly delivered by the BTP. Now, data and analytics. Here, I mean, we are as SAP running a huge portion of the business processes we see in the different in our customer base. So it's really about having the data as part of our applications and really getting the most value out of that and bring it together with all the non-applicational data that is really important to run your business. So it's about storing and accessing the data, and then, of course, on the one hand side, really also getting and or keeping the context to really get the best understanding of the data to get the most value out of it, right? Also here, we're following an approach really to have a lot of content available that helps you get the context into your data or keep the context, access the data, combine it with data from other data sources. If you have to store it, those data, of course. We also have the possibilities to do that. And then really coming to the position where we have where we give you the possibility to do a cross application or cross company analysis, and on the other hand side, also in the planning, having the possibility to bring together the different planning tasks like strategic planning, financial planning, operational planning in a single solution that we're seeing here. So looking at the portfolio also for data and analytics, I mean, of course, no presentation without the word HANA. So when it comes to the persistency layer, of course, SAP HANA Cloud is our preferred solution. So on the one hand side, you have the possibility for the in-memory capabilities, but you also have, for example, the solution, the possibility to have data marts running on BTP here with the SAP HANA Cloud, which means that you have a multi-model engine, so you can bring together structured data, unstructured data, geospatial data, text data, graph data in a single solution with data tiering concepts behind. And then on top, our SAP Data Warehouse Cloud, really bringing you the semantics of the applications again into play to have a better view on what the data is all about, in combination then with our data management solutions, also doing all the data management tasks that you have, like data quality, data transformations, orchestration, whatever. And then on top, our solution to look at business intelligence tasks, so analytic tasks, augmented analytics, but as said before, also the same, leveraging the same tool to do all the planning tasks that you can think of. And again, mentioned that before, it's not only as a standalone tool that you can choose to do your enterprise-grade analytics and planning tasks. It's also the integrated technologies into a lot of our applications when it comes to embedded analytics inside the applications. And then AI. So the topic of bringing now artificial intelligence and machine learning capabilities into the business processes. And here I think it's very interesting where we see the most challenges when we talk to our customers, and that's not so much in creating meaningful algorithms to run those things. It's more like, now, if I found something that could work, how can I operationalize that and operate it really in an enterprise fashion? And that's exactly where we are focusing on with the portfolio of the BTP here. So with our AI core solution, and to really operate that, do all the training tasks, really to serve AI scenarios. And I know, you know, it's more like a bring your own model approach. We're not saying you need to use Python or whatever to create those. It's really more about how can we support the operationalization and the successful operations in an enterprise fashion, and then control it with the AI Launchpad series here. That's one piece of the story. And then again, as we're really also talking about content, it's really about also bringing you ready to use services that have already a specific purpose that is supported by machine learning, like document classification, information extractions, recommendations, and so on, that you can directly use to create your own AI applications, to embed them into the processes. But on the other hand side, we are using the same services also within our application. So if you're running a lead to cash process, for example, today supported by the SAP applications, we are using machine learning and AI capabilities of the BTP to provide this into the processes supported by our applications here. So basically that was the overview about the different capabilities. Let me spare some minutes about the content. Again, you saw on the slide before the technology pieces. Now really talking about business content, like I said, with business services, we have support for the developers with the cloud application programming model, supporting the cloud SDK, making it very easy to create applications that extend our standard applications in the functionality. Business rules, we have a lot of data related packages that help you get more value out of the data and faster. So that's basically the offering. And now let's come back for a second to the scenario I described you before. Now that you got an understanding about all the different capabilities we are seeing on the platform, let's come back to the scenario of this COVID-19 application and what really has been created during these 3 weeks. First thing, there was this external company, the partner of the city of Hamburg. They created an initial web page based on React. So the React framework is now running on BTP. Also Strapi, which was the content management system that was already decided on. So we're running and operating this now on BTP. And it was just, let's say, the main entry page. But then it got interesting when an applicant really wanted to apply for some money. So the first thing that we had to do is actually we had to integrate into the German tax system, which is called Elster. So there is a small Java app that is being created to do a verification against this Elster IDP here. And once this authentication has been done, the applicant comes then to this core application. As I said, it was built under the cloud application framework. So we're leveraging SAP UI5 Fiori elements for the UI pieces. So for the applicants, we have a UI where they can upload their documents, for example. We were talking about those documents. Basically, you can see here the AI business services. I told you that we did automated document validation and recommendations. So basically, we're using those AI business services to extract the information out of the document and then really give recommendations also to the employees of the different federal districts inside Germany that are working as the back office here to give proposals on decisions so that we can really speed up the overall process. We also then have an integration created via our cloud integration piece into the ERP systems of the different federal counties, districts, and also to the Robert Koch Institute to get general information, which are mainly also being used to do some extended analysis, really seeing, for example, information on the current rates, how the pandemic spreads, how was that related to the events that have been canceled and so on. So we have Analytics Cloud here to do all this analysis tasks. And the things that are normally not seen that often are then the things for the operations. So we have used the Cloud Foundry runtime in this case. There was auto-scaling behind, there was application logging and alert notifications really to enable also the smooth operations of the overall solution. With this, I have the last 5 minutes to tell you how to start with all this. So first of all is a little bit looking at the commercial background. So basically, if you look at Business Technology Platform, what you have seen is that we have on the one hand side, software as a service solutions that work independently of other services, like, for example, Analytics Cloud or Data Warehouse. And we have a lot of platform services that can be leveraged, for example, to create your own differentiating applications, like an alert notification, like the runtime services. But also there is, for example, for Analytics Cloud, an embedded edition that you can use to embed analytics into the applications that you are creating by yourself. Now, understanding how we actually handle the process of getting the solution. So in former times, it was always that those software as a service solutions were subscribed as applications. So you had, for example, a number of users that you have licensed, you have a monthly payment then, and that was the application subscription way. Now, for platform as a service solutions, our first model of choice is definitely a consumption-based approach. So really having a look at what you are consuming to then have a look at what is the resulting costs out of that. We have also the possibility for some of the services to create, again, also a concept that is similar to the application subscriptions, where you say, okay, I am having a clear amount of resources that I think I'm going to consume. So I have a pre-commitment to use this specific service in a specific amount. What we do now is actually we are also bringing the software as a service applications to our consumption-based models. So for example, the SAP Data Warehouse Cloud solution, you can today also license as part of one of our consumption-based models. Analytics Cloud, we're not there yet, but we're working on that. So we have to see how we do that. So comparing it and looking at the consumption-based model, so we have on one hand side a pay-as-you-go model with a zero commit. So in the end, you have a list of services that are available and you simply consume the services, and afterwards you then get a bill on or an invoice on what you have consumed and how much it's going to cost. The second option that we're having here is that we have a commit to consume concept. So you are in the end buying what we are calling cloud credits with a fixed amount, but for which services you are using and how you are consuming it, to which extent, that is then up to the real consumption of the platform. For those two models, so if you have either a pay-as-you-go contract or a CPEA contract, we are offering also a free tier model. So you have the possibility, really, you have a lot of services here that have the possibility that you can use them for free in a certain restricted fashion. And then you have nothing to pay if we're talking about a pay-as-you-go contract, or none of your cloud credits that you have committed to will be deducted when using the services within the free tier model. And then fixed scope model, as said before, for applications or in some cases for single services, you have a fixed commitment with a fixed contract value. Now, how to start? And I really, you have the possibility to get this free tier. So you have the possibility to go into Substore and simply create a pay-as-you-go contract. I know it's my last slide. I know I'm hard on time. So you can do this pay-as-you-go contract, and then you have access to the free tier service plans, and your credit card will not be billed at all if you stick to those service plans. And if you do not know what you want to do and how to start, I really would advise you to go into the session next week, because next week we will talk, the session will handle or will discuss the SAP Discovery Center, where you will find all the information on the different services and how to start missions, what you can do with the free tier services, and how it works. So really have a look at that, and you will have a really good starting point to start with BTP by yourself.
Okay. Thank you so much, Arne. That was your last slide, right?
Yes.
Okay. It seems like we don't have much time left for questions. So what we're going to do is, please do keep typing your questions in the chat. What we'll do is Tanya and I will collate all of these questions, give them to Arne so he can answer these questions, and we'll provide a link for you guys where you can get all of the answers as a document in the share link that I put in the chat. So if you access that link afterwards, the presentation material as well as the questions to the answers to your questions will be put there. Okay. Thank you again, Arne, for a great session. We can't really do BTP justice in 1 hour. There's so much to cover. We can take weeks and weeks to just talk about it and discuss it. So, I have put Arne's email address in the chat. So if you guys are interested in reaching out to Arne or myself or Tanya, please do so. Feel free to reach out to us to see if we can get your questions answered. Hopefully we've answered your questions today, or Arne's answered your questions today. If we haven't, please reach back out and we'll get those answers to you as quickly as possible. Tanya, do you have any final words, parting words?
Well, big thanks from my side also for joining. It was awesome to see so many people from all over the world joining, and I definitely hope to see you again in our next sessions.
Fantastic.
And with this, Anna,
thank you so much.
Big thanks to you.
Of course.
And with this, I need to end the stream. Have a great day. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.